Hello, everyone. I welcome to the 26th annual celebration of Dr. Martin Luther King's Jr. legacy of social and environment justice. My name is Croilot, and it's an honor to welcome you here on the behalf of the MLK event planning committee right now. We are grateful that you are all here choosing to gather with us today. In the meantime, we're making sure all of our poets are standing by, and also you are coming in right now. So we're going to give you guys a couple more minutes before we get started. So again, welcome, and we'll be seeing you momentarily. I appreciate everyone chiming in, putting in some of their chat. We thank you, and we also we want to also thank Yale Peabody Museum for putting this together as always every year, and it's also our 25th annual anniversary. So it's gonna be great. It's gonna be awesome. So thank you. Yes, thank you. I see some more folks actually punching in. Thank you, thank you. 26. Yep, 26. 26th year. Again, we're just waiting for a few more folks to jump in before we get started. And thank you again, everyone, for coming in to being a part of this actual event. Again, everyone, welcome to our 26th annual celebration of Dr. Martin Luther King's Jr. legacy and social and environmental justice. Once again, my name is Kwa Lo. My name is Kwa Lo. It's a French name. I was named after a French priest. My name is Kwa Lo. It's an honor for us to be here to welcome you on the behalf of the MLK event that takes place every year. We are so grateful that you are here with us, choosing to be here with us today. Some organizational partners we want to pretty much be thankful for. We wanted to celebrate and appreciate the many organization partners and sponsors who made this year's celebration possible. So we want to thank you to our funding partner, the Connecticut of Energy, the Connecticut Department of Energy and Environmental Protection, and the New Haven Museum for co-hosting this year's celebration. And also some housekeeping that we want to also continue to follow in terms of our sponsors, the Peabody's 26th annual celebration of Dr. King Jr.'s legacy of social and environmental justice is generously sponsored by citizens, with additional support provided by the Office of Secretary and Vice President for University Life and Belonging at Yale. We want to also do some housekeeping as well. Both captioning is available for this program. Both features can be accessed through the meeting control at the bottom of your screen. For any questions during the program, please use the Q&A feature, and please use the chat feature if you have observations to share or having difficulties as well. All right. And so we're going to be getting going. I want to introduce Jessica here, who's going to be doing the Lan Acknowledgement for us. Jess, you want to jump in?
Yeah, thanks, Croilot. Thank you all so much for being here. My name is Jessie, and just on behalf of the Peabody and the MLK Planning Committee, we also want to start the program by acknowledging the current and ancestral stewards of the land that we're calling in from. And in the chat, we'd welcome you if you want to shout out where you are, or the occupied lands that you might be calling from, or where you are, since we have the sort of the blessing of being able to call in from many places. But we acknowledge that Indigenous peoples and nations, including Mohegan, Mashantucket, Pequot, Eastern Pequot, Schaghticoke, Golden Hill, Pagosset, Niantic, and the Quinnipiac and other Algonquin-speaking peoples, have stewarded through generations the lands and the waterways of what is now the state of Connecticut. We honor and respect the enduring relationship that exists between these peoples and nations in this land. And I will drop in the chat a link if you are interested. You may already know where you are calling in from, but we'll share a link where you can check that out. And again, feel free to include greetings or kind of shouting out where you're calling in from this evening. Welcome all. Thanks for being here.
All right, thank you, Jessie. Like she was just saying earlier, if you have some shout outs, please do. I'm actually in Bronx, New York myself. I know there's people from all over right now. This is the beauty of having something virtual where you can get everyone. Okay, I see some people actually shouting out the Bronx real quick. Boogie Down Bronx, that's right. I'm in Boogie Down. Some folks are in Connecticut. You have Cold Spring, New York. You have Canarsie coming in. Okay, San Antonio. All right, let's do it. Okay, Washington, D.C. All right, that's what I'm talking about. Brooklyn, okay, BK all day. Wow, we have somebody from Greece tuning in right now. That's what's up. Cape Cod. All right. Minneapolis, Park Slope. I love Park Slope. We got New Haven, all right. New Haven, Connecticut. All right, that's where I got my schooling from. All right, Chicago's in the house, Chi-Town, Colorado, Hamden, Connecticut. Wow, we have a lot of different folks here coming out. Yeah, definitely, please do. Shout out where you from, where you located, anywhere international. And that's what we do. We international here in this actual event. And so our event here, we do it every year. You know, it's unfortunate due to COVID, we're doing different things. We're doing a different spin now virtually. But at the same time, the good thing about it is we're able to captivate an audience that we would not be able to if we were doing it physically. So we want to shout out to everyone who's actually here with us right now, tuning in from all over the world internationally as we start our open mic. Yes, our open mic is going to be begin right now. We have some great poets for you, coming from all over as well. We have not just the open mic poets, but also we have our 4 features. There's going to be dropping some jewels for you guys, dropping some words that for you, for not just for inspiration, but also for you to think about and also tune into yourself and ask yourself, what are you doing for yourself? And also, what are you doing for the community that surrounds you? And so without further ado, to start this open mic, I would like to actually read a poem myself. And this poem right here is a dedication to Haiti. A lot of the different things going on right now in Haiti, not just with the Haitian president being assassinated, but all these different politics and stuff that, has been going on for years in Haiti. I'm Haitian and Dominican. And so I always, power to my peoples up in Haiti, power to my peoples in DR and all that. So this poem right here is called When the Haitians Come. So I'm going to start up the open mic for you guys. All right. Start tuning in. Let's make this happen. All right. So And when the Haitians come, make sure you sharpen your Willie Lynch whips on their backs in Texas. Take every inch of their independence off their skin. Train your horses to run over their babies to end the black cycle of revolution in their genes. And when the Haitians come, remind them borders are kept to keep darkies away with a Rafael Trujillo lash. Remind them borders are built to keep cotton pickers, sweatshop workers, nannies, sugarcane plantation slaves, man-made earthquake survivors need to be kept in chains, in cages, in their places. Remind them humiliation and assassination is what their face better look like. Remind them that they were cursed for freeing themselves. Remind them that they were cursed for freeing themselves. Remind them that they were cursed for freeing themselves. Remind them embargoes will be kept to keep them behind in education, to keep them behind in commerce, to keep them behind in any way possible to show Blacks can never reach their full potential without the great white hope. When the Haitians come, forget how they helped you in 1776, helped you in 1865, your world wars, discover your Chicago, made jazz possible when you purchased the great Louisiana due to their 1791, due to their 1804. When the Haitians come, who will be on their side? Who will be on their side? Will it be the American Negro who called them stink and booty scratcher in the 80s and in the 90s? Will it be the Latino who can't accept the African in their blood? Will it be the United Nations who pump E. coli in their veins? Will it be the American president who suck on their natural resources, gold, iridium, the national treasure stolen in 1915, the 941 barrel of crude oil and natural gas still existing in Haiti? When the Haitians come, who will be on their side? Who? Qui va bayo la paix? Qui va bayo santé? Qui va bayo pitié? Qui va bayo manger? Qui va bayo côté? Qui va bayo pitié? Puis petit yo, kadomi. Who? When the Haitians come, remind them the Mexicans already tried that route and it's still not working for them. All right. Thank you, everyone, for listening to this poetry written while the situation was happening and with the Haitians coming in from Texas, coming in from Mexico, all these different areas, kind of inspired me and triggered a thought for me to write this piece. So I appreciate you guys. Thank you for all the blessings that's coming in. But without further ado, let's continue this open mic where we have all of our poets coming in, bringing in fire. You thought you heard something from me. You thought you've heard something fire. You haven't heard nothing fiery yet. You haven't heard that ether, like Nas would say, right? You haven't heard that ether. So our first runner up for the open mic, all the way from Baltimore, also representing Connecticut. He's a spoken word artist, a radical minister, also a published author. Please give a warm welcome, if you can put that up for us real quick, a warm welcome for Analysis with that shirt saying Free-mo Mia. That's what I'm talking about. Free-mo Mia, you already know.
You already know, bro.
Let's do it, brother. Let's do it.
You already know. You already know.
Mike is yours.
The shirt, really quick, if you're interested, Rage Against the Machine, all my Rage fans out there, they actually print this shirt. So if you go to their website, there should be a link in order to get this one. They got a short sleeve and a long sleeve, so you should be able to check it. It is so good to be with everybody. Thank you to my brothers Croilot and Ngoma. Thank you, Yale Peabody, and all the sponsors. It is always an honor when I get a chance to be in this experience, the Z experience. You know, I think that if Zannette and Martin were here today, they would very much bemoan this anti-immigrant stupidity. Croilot just touched on it with his fire piece. And I think that if they were here today, they might even break it down alphabetically, something like this. You see, Asinine interjections of anti-immigrant hate create bathos to any expectation of intelligent thought coming from those who, in their own insecurities, denigrate those who cross oceans and cross burning deserts, having been excluded from all that mutual wealth free trade agreements egregiously guaranteed. Greed runs rampant as big bosses make profits while hypocritical descendants of immigrants clamor about an imagined invasion. Their ignorance exceedingly ugly. Jokes are played on folks from around the world who anticipated kind and warm welcome to this land of the free. Labor under-rewarded is the order of the day, manipulated by rulers of capital who capitalize off the need of poor folk and refugees to replenish their children's bellies or remit something home to stave off starvation. Prejudice is prescribed through parapets and prohibitive policies. Queries as to how we might best welcome our new neighbors are deflected by restrictionists who reroute public thought with lies of how immigration supposedly steals from our surplus or sacks our social order. Those tainted by tant English only is the only acceptable form of communication and undervalue ethnic studies which would enhance a healthy society. My people, void from your souls all such vitriol against those who arrive. White America is threatened in the minds of the haters, and xenophobic fear is what they will tempt you to. You, however, must remain wise to such lies and permit zero tolerance for hate against the newcomer in this place. Immigration acrostic. Ashe Martin, Ashe Zannette. Find me on social media at Analysis the Poet. I'd love to communicate with you and find out more about what you all are doing. There's an album. It's called A Couple Thousand Years Later. There's a book. It's called Somewhere Through the Haze. Just get at me even just to say hi as we continue to struggle.
Analysis, always bringing that heat, always bringing that heat, talking about immigration and how they sucking on these natural resources by replenishing their children's belly. What?
How dare people want to do that?
Wow.
How dare people want to come up here and just actually take care of their family?
Wow.
Driven out by US policy. How in the first place, we don't even have time to get into.
For sure. But yeah, definitely, man. I appreciate you, brother. And like you said, I say to Zannette, Zannette Lewis really is the founder of this whole celebration that we're having right now, and we're acknowledging her. She's a sister that's a powerful sister that pretty much influenced me to get into education, and as I continue to do what I do in education, working with teenagers, working with our young folks on the Lower East Side of Manhattan as an after-school director. She really drove me into this position that I'm in today. So I definitely shade to Zannette. She's no longer with us physically, but she lives within us spiritually. Definitely. For sure. Without further ado, let's get back in the open mic. All right, our second runner-up is Jessica, straight out of Bridgeport, Connecticut. That's what I'm talking about, BPT. That's where I grew up at, Bridgeport, Connecticut. She's a photographer, she's a poet. Hey, yo, Jessica, are you on? We can't hear you. Put that mic up, turn it on.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can. All right. I didn't even know you was from BPT like that. I grew up out there.
Yes, sir. I grew up out there too.
All right. All represent. All right. Thank you. So please, the mic is yours.
Word. Thank you. Thank you for having me. All right. So this piece is called Action. In this backwards country, they take from the poor to make the rich richer, while the government continues robbing hoods and cops shoot men for wearing hoods just because they think they could. We live in a world where God is used as an excuse to execute, and we stay mute when the kids in Chicago can't play outside because their world consists of war zones and homicide. Then there's half-assed media coverage to try to ease the stings. They hear us, but they're not listening. So what happens next? First, all the woke have to wake the ones still asleep. Just plant the seed and hope the roots will roll deep. Then we need to unify as humans through understanding of others and knowledge of self, and fight the 1% who owns half the world's wealth. The top 1% owns over half the world's wealth. They own all the governments, the banks, and the news, pushing the divide and conquer propaganda they continue to use. Not telling you that our TV programming is really our TV's programming us. And it's in that bullshit we trust. We have to stop being hypnotized by mainstream media lies and realize. And I'm worried for the generation that craves money, sex, and Instagram stardom when they don't know it's gentrification that got Starbucks on 125th Street in Harlem. So we'll teach them to support small businesses and to stay away from seedless fruits and Monsanto pesticides. It's time to open all three eyes, wake the fuck up and smell the fluoride. Because actions speak louder than words, and we're not doing enough to really be heard. So while everybody's following reality stars, I'll just be following Shaka Bars and his I Heart Africa movement. It takes a village to change the world, and we're the means of improvement. And we'll make sure that the revolution is televised, and viewer discretion may be advised, but it's through strength and unity we'll keep our planet alive. We don't need V for vendetta, because we just keep doing better. We're training our minds to focus on only positive thoughts. We can meditate or pray and teach when we've been taught. Love and respect are universal, and for change, we have to embrace them. So peace, shalom, namaste, and assalamu alaikum. Thank you.
Wow. Yo, man, Jessica, you said so much up there, man. That was, wow. I don't even know where to start. You said they use God as an excuse to execute. Wow. Wow. You said all the woke have to wake. And that's definitely true, man. You know, a lot of these people walking around here, I'm woke. You haven't waken up yet, though. You feel that you've woken up, but you haven't.
It's a lot. It's a lot. It's a lot. Waking up is a painful process sometimes, but necessary.
For sure, for sure. I appreciate you, man. Definitely kudos to you with that piece. Keep holding on, keep, continuing to pretty much, embrace us and bless us with some of your work.
I appreciate you. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you. Thank you. Without further ado, let's continue this open mic, y'all. That was Jessica from BPT, Bridgeport, Connecticut. Our next runner-up is Angel Martinez. Angelico Martinez. That's how you would say it. All right. This brother right here is part of a collective in New York called The Bread is Rising. How you doing, brother?
Doing beautiful, brother. How you doing?
I'm good, man. I'm good. Listen, man, the mic is all yours, and let's hear some of your work.
Thank you. But before I start, I definitely want to give a shout out to a dear friend of Martin Luther King. We have to acknowledge the passing of Sidney Poitier. Definitely was a supporter of the movement, definitely with the movement. So definitely want to give thanks for what he contributed. And we all artists, we all contribute to what we call the Artists for Freedom. Yes, rest in power, definitely. And in that spirit, one of the areas where Sidney Poitier was supported is what I'm talking about today, Martin Luther King's final battle in the Poor People's Campaign. So this is a poem about the culmination called Resurrection City. This is Introduction to a City of Hope. I can only retell the story from my elders and ancestors of this place called Resurrection City. A walk around the reflecting pool can move a witness to tears. Many years of tears and happiness. Imagine this city of hope. the original Poor People's Campaign's gathering, where A-frame houses meant power and dignity. Hunger's wall was freedom and knowledge. The digger's God's Eye bakery bread meant love. From barrios, reservations, Appalachian mountains, cities and farms, onto caravans, Indian trails, and mule train. To agitate in halls of power, Nina Simone belted out her requiem for Martin Luther King Jr. The Capitol had its first ever Puerto Rican Day. The American Indian movement was soon to be born. And amid all, a child was born too. Welcome to our city. Thank you.
Thank you, brother. Definitely, that was a real good piece, man. I like the fact that you were able to actually shout out to all of these different avenues and landmines, you know, in the poem itself. You know, what made you write that poem like that, though? God peace.
Well, let's see. Well, when Carlos could talk about his experience at Resurrection City, because he was there, he's been telling me these stories for years. So I figured it's time for me to start telling the story to make sure that when it's time for me to share it soon, it could be passed on. 54 years later, next year's gonna be the 55th anniversary. So I'm just getting everybody ready for a big commemoration that we need to have next year for Martin Luther King's final fight, that after he was assassinated, the campaign said, we have to do this. We have to go to Washington 43 years before Occupy Wall Street, occupying the National Mall.
Wow. All right. Well, I appreciate you, brother, as always, man. Thank you for the work as always. Kudos to you. Shout out to Angel Martinez, you know, part of the Bread is Rising. Also, I just realized that I missed one person on the list. So that person is gonna come up right now. Taj, are you in the building?
Yeah, hi.
Taj, I apologize. I don't know how I skipped you, but
No, it's all good.
Yeah, we know this is the universe, man. You were supposed to actually come up next now.
Yeah, heard you.
You know, so Taj from Connecticut, you know, let's hear some of your work.
Yeah, so the poem that I'm sharing today is called My Tongue. I'm just gonna get right into it. You have stolen my tongue. Each jagged word, each pointed prose you have taken into your pale palm, rolled between your greedy fingers and molded into a sphere that fit oh so perfectly through your decrepit lips. Like a jawbreaker, you hold it in your cheeks. You cover it in your putrid saliva until it liquefies, dissolves to nothing. Yes, you have stolen it. Ripped it right from behind my teeth, stretched and pulled and pounded until it became something for your kind to devour, to chew up and spit out. Like every brown body you have pillaged, every community you've trampled and tore through for centuries on end. How dare you rip us apart, sift through the miserable pile, haphazardly cobble together our gruesome remains. How dare you take any part of my mouth and claim it as your own. You are a thief, a glorified bandit, the very criminal you insist my skin has confined me to. You know nothing but how to take and take and take until the ground beneath your muddy boots are hollow and silent, until each undesirable hue is washed away, until the earth itself is as white, as colorless as your own flesh. You have stolen my tongue. You have torn out my teeth. You have cut through my gums, broken my jaw, kneeled on my throat, but I still scream. While I have a mouth, I still scream until the distant day where I can take it back, until my tongue is mine and mine alone. That's it.
I don't even know where to start. Wow, the earth as colorless as your white flesh. Seriously? I might steal that one, man.
Yeah, I was kind of stuck for a little bit when I was writing this poem over the course of a couple weeks, but I think one thing that's been bothering me a lot is cultural appropriation. So I was just really like, I just really want to make a poem about that.
Ooh, that was heavy. That was real heavy. Thank you, Taj. That was real heavy. And we do still scream. We do still scream without the hoodie, with the hoodie. We still scream. Appreciate you. Thank you. Wow. Again, I told you guys, man, this open mic ain't no joke. And, you know, only a selected few gets to get into this open mic that we do every year here at, you know, at our 26th annual Martin Luther King celebration poetry jam right now. So our runner-up right now is Elaine Nadal. All right. Elaine is a Pushcart Prize and Best of the Net nominee, author of 2 poetry chapbooks entitled When and Sweat, Dance, Sing, Cut. Oh man, I want to actually get that book right there. Hold a book for me when you get a chance, definitely. So without further ado, how you doing, Elaine? You on? Okay, here you are. We can't hear you.
Can you hear me now? Hola.
Yes, we can. Hola, hola, ¿cómo tú estás? ¿Todo bien?
Todo bien, todo
Ay,
bien.
parante, mi gente. You know, pretty much that means power to the people. All right, Elaine, the mic is yours.
Thank you. Hello, everyone watching from home. I'll be sharing with you Proclamation 3. It's a matter of dignity to honor all that breathes, all that grows, to nourish and protect, comfort and hold. To recognize that although there's malice in the world, much good can come from hands that help tear the spiderwebs beneath lampshades. Hands that help build and restore shattered dreams. Because for some reason, somehow, many are taught that it's infantile to believe. But there's nothing foolish about wanting to progress. It should be a reality for all to feel safe without having the feeling of being followed, without being pinned to the ground for simply walking. Good can also come out of tongues grown tired of tasting gradual decay. Non-poisonous tongues discharging the broken chords of a people crawling to survive. Denouncing ashes we will not bathe in. Dirty water we will not drink, declaring love for our neighbors regardless of distance and space, compassion and fervor within each word, refusing to be idle, constructing a world, even if it takes longer than 7 days, because we all deserve to drink the wine and wake up to meadows illuminated by the sun. Thank you so much.
Can you please say that last line right there in the poem?
Compassion and fervor within each word, refusing to be idle, constructing a world, even if it takes longer than 7 days, because we all deserve to drink the wine and wake up to meadows illuminated by the sun.
Oh yeah. Woo! That poem right there, I appreciate it. I know everyone that's listening right now want to thank you for that piece. Definitely talking about that Jesus wine that we all are invited to actually take a sip on. You know what I'm saying? Don't deny us our Jesus wine, you know what I mean? Word. So we appreciate you, sister. Thank you for sharing this piece for us. All right.
Thank you.
Thank you. So our runner-up right now is Mr. Carlos. All right, Mr. Carlos Raul Duflas.
Here comes the New York City Beat Poet Laureate right now.
Here he is. Here he is. There he is. You know, he's the founder of the Bread is Rising collective. Also, he's the president of the actual movement itself. So please, Carlos, without further ado, the mic is yours.
I ain't no president. I'm just a regular soldier. I look at it as that. I'm just a culture worker, and I feel honored. And I wanted to greet my sister, poet laureate from Greece, that's here reading with us. Yasu Takani. I just wanted to say to her, and all the other ones, and also Brother Ngoma, an old timer. We all come from. The title is called Freedom Way. Our journey, we have crossed the wave of water. Remembering the past when we were young, we were guided with conscious love. Like a tree rising around us, moving forward on the road, from the south to the north, lifting our voices, marching and singing for our democratic right to vote, for jobs, for education, for housing, for bilingual education, and an end to hunger. In the wilderness, where walls were built before us, even when death will surprise us, we had faith to take control of our lives. Surrounded in the corner of the space, pollution in the air, for every hero and every martyr, the heart of those who answer the call to freedom way. Moving forward with love will not lock us up in a cage of a narrow cage. To my generation, to each generation, for this little shine, this little light will shine when the raven flies. Ella Baker, Martin Luther King, Coretta Scott King, Cornbread Gibbons, the Reverend F.P. Kilpatrick, Jimmy Collins, Tilly Walker, Chief Big Snake, Gilberto Helena Valentin, Nari Grinnell, Ralph Abernathy, Gwen Patton, James Foreman, Ralph Brown, Bob Mosley, Fannie Lou Hamer, who gave love and sacrifice over contamination. I wanted to say that all these people who were part of the Poor People's Campaign and gave their life, and those who were in SNCC, who was my organization, I can't lie, I can't hide it either, and they gave their life. Bob Mosley later on created the math project. I want to thank him. He became an ancestor. Rap Brown is in jail. May the gates will fly out and proven that he was innocent and let him go free. To Fannie Lou Hamer that said, when I'm free, everybody's free. And I want to thank all those people. And Fedahina from the New Mexican Land Movement, and to Coqui Gonzalez, who were best friends of mine when we were at Resurrection City. I want to thank them. I forgot to mention them in that little part of the poem, but I have to give them credit because they were humble people and they were fighting for the right to exist, just like I was when I was out of high school and I joined the Poor People's Campaign. Thank you.
Ooh. Wow, man, the names alone, just, throwing out all these names alone said it. You know what I mean, Carlos? Just throwing these names out there, also the realizing that you're not just writing about it, but you're living it, you're part of it, you're part of the movement, definitely an activist. Kudos to you, brother, for this piece. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Waldo. Merci beaucoup.
All right, merci beaucoup. All right.
Gracias.
No bikes. So like I said in the open mic, man, we have individuals from all over, international here. We don't only select a few, but we also international at the same time. So without further ado, our next poet up is Tamani Rain, and she's from Waterbury, Connecticut, which I actually like to call Dirty Waters. So Tamani, are you in the building, Miss Rain?
Hi, how are you?
I didn't know you was from Dirty Waters.
Yes, and it's funny because people in the Dirty Waters call it the Dirty Waters, so it is definitely yes. I'm from the Dirty Waters, but I'm also I'm actually in Bridgeport right now. So I'm very much familiar with Bridgeport, New Haven, all of that. Before I get started, first, I want to thank you, Croilot, for you're an amazing host. Thank you for inviting us to this. This is a beautiful space and a beautiful stage to have, even virtually. And all the poets and everybody that has spilled their soul on this stage has been amazing, and I appreciate all of you guys for that energy.
Wow, that was a great shot. I appreciate you. Thank you for providing that avenue for us, definitely. So without further ado, poet, do your thing. The mic is yours.
Thank you. So again, like you said, my name is Goddess Tamani Rain. I'm coming from Waterbury, Connecticut, Bridgeport, Connecticut right now, technically, but I don't have a title for this poem really, and I don't have an explanation for it yet. I'd actually like for it to speak for itself. It is my newest piece, so I hope you guys enjoy it. I wonder what makes a Black woman become an Olympian. Make career out of survival. When her first instinct in danger becomes her purpose, and cheating death becomes a life lesson. Safety and success have the same definition, no matter how much you pray, you're prey. When fight isn't an option, do your feet grow wings? At what age do young girls learn to fly? As soon as they're old enough to look both ways before crossing sex-trafficked streets. This country crosses us, makes us backseat gymnast, telephone pole dancer, tight enough to rope us up. The difference between a noose and the news is an elimination race. Girls be running, late for class, passing predators outside school bus doors, a sidewalk of pedophiles masked as mama's friends. I pray. The only time a little Black girl gets caught fast is on a track. That they stay on track, make career out of survival. But how do you be both contestant and trophy? Constantly searching for self, only allowed to smoke. The competition system rewards you as stereotype, as sexualized a face, pretty enough for crucifixion and the fruit it bears. I wonder what it's like to make career out of survival, make entertainment out of generational curse. Does the audience's applause cause PTSD, post-traumatic slavery disorder, pre-trialed sense of death? Maybe there's a reason to choose sprint over relay. It's over quicker. It's less likely to trust someone else's hand, less likely to step on ancestors turning in their grave, watching our innate abilities become America's propaganda. We be for sale, we be moving picture, be cable, be reruns, be running like lights at granny's months mommy couldn't catch payments, be running like eventually those legs will make enough bills to cover theirs. I wonder what it's like to turn survival to a career, to be prime in your primal, a beast. Maybe that's why this world wants to euthanize us, be the most disrespected in America, counting on our downfall, send a senseless census to keep us on the red line in the plantation. But we run like Tubman, freeing village, feet unchained. It's our job to survive, to succeed, to jump ghetto's border, escaping the hood, but never its shadow. We start at the pistol, racing to make it out of range, keeping souls off pavement, enough to leave a legacy instead of traces, to never be defined by a chalk line, but the many you make it past first, and to know that no matter how they try to meddle your decisions, they will never take away your gold. Thank you, guys.
Wow. I was just heavy, man. It was just woo. Wow. So much. You know, at what age does young girls learn to fly? You know, the between a noose and the news, that right there. I was like, whoa, between a noose and a news. That Black girls should stay on track. Turning survival into a career. We're
Thank
living that.
you.
And I see it. The sisters live that. Every day. In this community. Every
Thank
day
you.
in this jungle that we live in. And surviving and continuing to be not just fruitful, becoming more of a goddess. So we appreciate you
Absolutely.
for that piece. We appreciate you.
Absolutely. I appreciate you for allowing me to express. Asante.
For sure, man. Thank you. Thank you. You see the love coming in. They already like, wow, that was amazing.
Thank
Thank
you. I appreciate everybody up here and all the audience. Thank you for receiving me.
For sure, for sure. All right, sister Timani Rain from Dirty Waters. All right, so we have our next poet up here, which is our last but not least on the open mic. She's incredible. She has a LCW, LCSW, BFA. She works professionally, has a licensed social worker. And she says that her poetic work highlights the process of unlearning and reconstructing individual and group identity. That right there is a powerful entry. Lisa, are you in the building?
I'm here, Croilot.
You know,
Thank you.
I'm over here like stuttering, like I need to make sure I'm saying this right.
You ain't got to say it all.
You know, Miss LCSW. All right. All right now. So without further ado, Lisa, please bless us. The mic is yours.
Let's get into this. I am a descendant of colonizers. 16 generations removed, a quarter of my lineage direct from Puritan America. There, I said it, because admitting our problems is the first step in recovery, right? I am a descendant of murderers, and I couldn't write this poem for years because I didn't know how to reconcile my allegiance to my grandmother with the awareness of crimes committed by my ancestors. See, I grew up taking pride in those white people who fled religious persecution. There was a certificate on my wall recognizing me as a member of the Society of Mayflower Descendants. I read William Bradford's prayer at Thanksgiving, not knowing how it really went down. Pilgrims ravaged the shore they renamed Plymouth, looted lobster, corn, fish, shelter, mothers, daughters, fathers, sons, infected brown bodies with smallpox, the COVID of 1620. Yes, white people were scared then, just as they are now. Yes, I was taught to be scared. Hold on to your purse. Walk on the other side of the street. My friend's mother making fun of the Black girl names at my dance school. My college roommate in a Mississippi Walmart. I've never been around this many Black people before. Lauren, you weren't the only one who's miseducated. Black people, you're angry, so am I. As many times as I remove the mask of white privilege, it remains affixed to my face. This is not a sympathy cry, this is simply the truth. Yes, Black people, they're scared of you because they still worship a white Jesus, because they still think Elvis invented rock and roll, because when Obama was in the White House, they caught a glimpse of what it would be like if the roles were reversed. They're scared of you, Black men, because you are the original man, because Black woman, you hold the lineage of humanity in your womb, because they don't want to lose their power and they don't have the courage to do the introspective work required. Black people, they're scared of you, and they should be.
Wow, wow. You see, I mean, I can't, wow. Crimes committed by my ancestors. I was thought to be scared. I was thought to be scared. So it's like, you know, the ideology of having to actually grow up somewhere where you're being fed something that is not real. You know,
yes, that's
if you know, reversing if Obama, they just got a taste of Obama, and if the role was reversed, that would have been that's powerful.
Thank you.
That's
And I
definitely
mean, I gotta shout you out, Croilot, because that was part of your challenge.
Oh,
what, a year and a
yes.
half ago, almost now?
Yeah. So we did
Yeah.
a little challenge on, what was it, Facebook, Instagram, about writing a poem called "They Scared of Us." And this was actually right after some of the riots that were going on, I think, during COVID.
Yeah.
Right. So wow, thank you. We appreciate you, Lisa. Definitely. Wow. That was incredible. Shout outs to all the poets that has blessed the open mic lately. All my open micers, but at the same time, brilliant, talented individuals, not only in the poetry world, but also providing their services in the community. Shout outs to everyone that's listening right now, that's hearing some of our work. We appreciate you for taking this time to be here with us. Also, like I said, we want to also thank citizens for their additional support, and also the Office of the Secretary and Vice President for University Life and Belonging at Yale. We thank you for, for everyone that's here listening to us as well. We thank you for actually listening to all of our open micers, but the event is not over yet. It's just the beginning, because we have 4 fiery features coming soon to you right now. But before we could do that, I would like to actually give the mic to an individual who pretty much is a mentor to me, someone who not just is a poetry mentor to me, but also is co-emceeing with me tonight. This brother is a talented poet, musician, artist. I don't even know what to name him. He plays all different types of musicians, instruments. He's traveled the world. This brother right here, Ngoma, are you in the building? Can't hear you, Ngoma. Put that mic on. Let them hear you, brother.
Me now, right?
All right, right. How you doing, brother? Out here. Where you at today? Are you somewhere in Africa? Because you stay traveling, bro.
No, brother, I'm right in Harlem. I wish I was somewhere hot.
I know, right?
Yeah. So like, I guess we should get this on. I'm really honored to be able to present. And I'm really honored to be able to ask other artists to come to be a part of this. Zannette was a very special person to me. We grew up together. We went to high school together. We walked picket lines together, okay? So a lot of people didn't know all that about her, but she was always an activist. She went to Howard University, and she's always active. And she was responsible for a lot of people in New Haven getting work. Just straight up working, in the system, and also as artists.
You're looking at one right here.
Yes. So anyway, so I'm gonna do this little bit, in tribute to her. And then I got 4 other artists from all over the country that's gonna come and rock for y'all. And believe me, you'll really be happy and pleased, and you'll see what's up. So let's rock. I didn't ask to come here. I was kidnapped. Tied down to the bottom of a slave ship, transported like cattle. I didn't ask to come here, feel a slave as last forever. Ask Grandmother Eleanor Bumpers, ask Philip Purnell, ask Rodney King. I didn't ask to come here. Nobody asked me if I wanted to be a citizen. I didn't hijack a boat to come to these shores, lose my name, my religion, my ancestors, my land, my mind. I didn't ask to integrate nor assimilate. No more auction block for me. I didn't ask to be America, at least not the ones that bombed Hiroshima, killed Vietnamese babies, spread man-made disease, spilled blood and guts in the name of the cross, the lash and the gun, stole the Indians' land, leveled the Holy Land. And before I'd be a slave, I'd be buried in my grave. I just want to be accepted in the human race with peace, love, justice, and equality. Oh, freedom. Oh, freedom. Oh, freedom. Over me. Over me. I'd be a slave. I'd be buried in my grave. And I'd fight for the right to be free. Where I come from. I come from back of the bus and colored water fountains. I come from segregated toilets and no niggas or dogs allowed. I come from segregated and unequal schools with hand-me-down books. I come from sit up in the balcony. I come from you can't buy a house in this neighborhood. I come from you can't eat at this lunch counter. I come from go around the back to get your food. I come from picket lines, bus boycotts, and fire hoses. I come from freedom rides, freedom songs, and jail cells. I come from we've been buked and we've been scorned. I come from we shall overcome. I come from black fist raised high, little Bobby Hutton, Fred Hampton, and George Jackson. I come from street fighting and rebellion, San Quentin and Attica, Black Panthers, Young Lords, and free breakfast programs. I come from runaway slaves. I come from Amiri Baraka, Simba Wachunga, and Watu Wazuri. I come from poor libations on ancestors' graves. I come from the struggle to be free, to be free, to be free. Yeah. So this is a 3-string cigar box guitar. When Africans were brought here and enslaved, they couldn't bring instruments and whatnot with them, so they brought whatever they could, and they made whatever they could with whatever they could find. So they made these guitars out of cigar boxes. And they were popular around 1835, and they kind of resurfaced, so I thought I'd bring it for y'all. Didn't come on the Mayflower, came on a good ship, Jesus. I'm a star, Clotilda, Henrietta Marie, chain bound and shackled from Gory till me in a castle, copper and Manila, sugar and tobacco. You ain't paid your dues. You ain't paid your dues. You ain't paid your dues to sing my blues, to sing my blues. Stopped on Igbo landing, try to walk on water. Well, I'm a runaway, I'm a renegade, I'm a son of a dusty daughter. You ain't paid your dues. You ain't paid your dues. You ain't paid your dues to sing my blues, to sing my blues. Mark Veazey and Charleston, Nanny of the Maroons, Nat Turner and John Brown, Harriet Tubman, Freedom Bound. You ain't paid your dues. You ain't paid your dues. You ain't paid your dues to sing my blues, to sing my blues. Work from sun up to sundown. Black babies sold by the pound. Ancestors buried in hallowed ground. You ain't paid your dues. Whole world seemed like a big plantation. I'm just trying to give my reparations, cause you ain't paid your dues. You ain't paid your dues. You ain't paid your dues to sing my blues. Sing, sing my blues. Yeah. Give me just a second, please. Give me just a second. How y'all doing? I'm gonna switch up a little. So the poems that I'm doing this evening are taken from a new book that I've just put out. The book is called I Didn't Come Here to Tap Dance, and yeah, come check me out. 26. This is called Where Were You When the King of Love Was Killed? April 4th, 1968. The trigger pulled, the bullet cried at 6:01. Heartbeat ceased at 7:05. Lorraine was the woman scorned. It was Bluff City, the place that Elvis ruined. St. Joseph could not save him. The evil was not bluffing. The digits were against him. The math total equals 6. The number for sacrifice. The number for caring. The number for healing. The number for teaching others. The number for protection. But he left his juju home. Peace and harmony forsake him. Conspiracy completed. The bullet was no love letter. Destiny with his appointment to protest inequality. Incinerated garbage men and their mothers mourned with the rest of the world. A young draftee, I was in the barracks, looking at my reflection in newly spit shine boots, pondering how soon I might get sent to Nam. When the news broke on the radio, a redneck muttered under his breath, "Good, the nigger's dead." It was at Fort Pricks, AKA Fort Dix, when the lights went out and the riot started. I don't remember how long it took for the MPs to break it up. The next day's training was how to quell mob violence. I stood firm with the brothers who resisted and decided not to go. Yeah. Okay. I'm sorry, y'all. I got a little technical problem here.
Ngoma, they don't realize that you actually you're playing all these different instruments real quick. They're not realizing that. So the violin and all that.
I'm so sorry. uncomfortable conversations. Many times, Black folk go out of their way not to make white folk feel uncomfortable. But we've been uncomfortable ever since we were brought here in chains. When driving while black, every time we hear a police siren, we live in fear, living in a police state. But you say it can't happen here in these yet to be United States that you claim is post-racial. But these cops act like having brown skin is illegal, living in a reality show where there's no sequel. When we go into a department store, you follow us like thieves. But we're the ones that were stolen along with whole countries, along with our history that's outlawed and aborted, our story distorted, or saw or set and held rude, replaced by blue-eyed Jesus, then led to believe that anything unchristian is a sin, and there was no history before the Nicene Council, 325 AD. Or around 1611, when that perverted James the King rewrote the Bible that he stole from the Egyptian Book of the Dead, it's been said, the Sun Book, AKA the Book of Coming Forth by Day, extracting 42 laws of Ma'at and leaving only 10 commandments. You will need to read more books to understand this, but media and gangster rap makes education unpopular these days. So intellectual curiosity is taking a backstage to video games, hand-to-eye coordination, training folk to be quick on the trigger for wars never ending. The economy is broken, so the foreign land, your sons and daughters, they are sending to maim, kill, and murder those who pray to Allah. Meanwhile, social media overloads of distraction, inundating us with commercials, got us trying to keep up with the Joneses, while children in China slave in sweatshops making smartphones. Broken window stop and fist policy is a part of the conspiracy. The criminalization of a generation in a country where the rate of incarceration is the largest in the, I wish I could call it, civilized world. And whole cities are employed from prison privatization as a means to control population, where the demographic is rapidly changing from white to black and brown. Meanwhile, there's still a struggle concerning abortion. Cancer treatment has become an industry because in the cure, there's no profit. The educational system is only designed for training. Critical thought is lacking. They don't want us thinking. We might just figure out fascism is rising. So we need to have these uncomfortable conversations. It's too late to change the channel. The atmosphere is polluted with radiation, and it's not safe to put your head in the sand. Now we're doing die-ins, chanting, hands up, don't shoot, I can't breathe. Yeah. So now we're getting ready to get to the real show. Yeah. How y'all doing? Everybody's here? Thank you all for being here and listening, hanging in here. But the heat has just begun. This is the show. First of all, I got a sister that I found out about on Facebook, on her open mic. And I liked her work. And I said, okay, I think for this particular event, people need to hear from her. Her name is Sister Ray Jane. She's a Black female poet born in Brooklyn and raised in Far Rockaway, Queens. She uses her poetry to lift herself and the other women of color, always aiming to strengthen her voice. Ray Jane was also the recent winner of the Verb Bender Slam Poetry Team's inaugural Poetry Slam, and was published in La Libreta, an online poetry journal for women in creative rebellion. She's participated in poetic writing workshops focused on empowering women like Robles, Rights presents Respite, Right and Release, and amongst many others, and served as contributing editor for the anthology Love Letters to Gaia. So I want y'all to just put your hands together and give us some love for Sister Ray Jane on the scene.
Hey, greetings, greetings. Thank you so much, Ngoma, for that wonderful introduction. Thank you for the invitation. I'm so excited to be here. The poets that have already been on have just been tremendous. I feel blessed to share your space. Thank you to everybody who showed up to also hear what we have to say. And of course, thank you to the Yale Peabody Museum for giving us a chance to share what we have to bring, what our art looks like in our own mouths. Hannah, Jesse, Croilot, thank you. So I have about 5 pieces to share with you. If you like what you hear, you can find all of my content, including Instagram, Facebook, SoundCloud, on my website. It's rayjane.com. That's ITSRAYJANE.com. Again, thank you for the gift of your attention. The first piece is entitled Privilege. Privilege is slippery. Not easy to grasp, it seems. Privilege is just beyond the reach of most minds. They find it too hard to conceive that they could live on top of we, how the design of that truth could be so well woven into America's seams. They get so confused, they even use the wrong quotes to justify their means. BLM hit the streets, and every major corporation started quoting MLK Jr., but somehow, amidst the wall between proceeds and privilege, they managed to miss the dream. Amazing. Around January 15th, people start thoughtlessly saying things like, let us be judged, quote, by the content of your character, end quote, y'all sounding like parrots when it's clear it has been a while since the morality of this continent was rich in anything but laments held in submission with presumed derision. The very greed that aimed to assassinate the vision is licking chops like it's waiting for permission. But we recall that the definite distance between history as told by Geppetto is exactly the length of lies that lie just beyond the tip of what we can sense, quote, but we refuse to believe the bank of justice is corrupt, end quote. If hate was the bad check that America produced to cover its debt, then the superstition of race must have signed it. The truth of the dream came later. King speaking from within the wilderness tried to change and challenge the thing, dangerously demanding, quote, confronting our nation until there is an honest conversation with it, end quote. If we are going to build a person by their words, let's not mince them and hide the hands of hired men. Distraction from the truth is the sickness in it. How would you react if the facts suggested ain't no difference between rights and privilege, but the definition was edited by Jim Crows who stand to make a profit off the sale of the latter of those? Interesting aside. If you put privilege in the thesaurus, what is offered is prerogative, but let's not get off topic. Ah, yes, we were talking about placing privilege across the tracks and claiming you have to have the right to live close to that. We all been hacked, been stuck up in this shell since the plan was hatched. If you really want to honor Dr. King, quote, the other America, and see how quick a bullet can kill fact. Thank you. Thank you. So often people try to define us for us. This poem is how I define my Black experience so far. It's entitled My Black Is. My Black is more than bondage and bandaged dreams. My Black is more than halted visions of dastardly things. My Black is more than hood protagonists on TV screens. My Black is more than burning crosses and military grade bullying. My Black is more than slave movies as singular Black narratives. My Black is old school jams jamming on Sunday mornings. My Black is blue magic shining betwixt brand new braids is. Beads clacking like carefree childhood kinda is. Folded, undisclosed amount tucked neatly in warm grandma palm is. Instinctive twitch with mere mention of belt or switch is. Collard greens with smoked neck bone on shopping list is. Knowing which aunt got that bomb mac and cheese is. Moisture greedy crown wave caps curls mistaken for naps is. Known look between strangers with familiar melanin is eye contact with that same new friend when they start wilding. My black is pulling up, getting out, and giving greetings. It's cocoa butter scent, basketball, battlefields, and open hydrants. It's blues, jazz, funk, soul, drums, throat, the foundations of music. My black is hidden like Beethoven, genius behind all your favorite inventors. Is the cool everyone is chasing. My black is precious resource the whole world is wasting. The fact is, this black is no longer for sale. Thank you. The next piece is entitled Politicking. And this is for when I'm angry and I have every right to be. I don't know shit about politics. Oh, but if you ask me whose video was the illest and whose rhyme style is the realest, yeah, I could tell you that. Politics though, nah, I don't know shit about that. I don't care about Bush and Iraq or the funds that we lack. But I can tell you there ain't no war on crack, no recently passed act to make a liberal or Republican give a damn about my international ties. Or should I say, my lack thereof, because even though they stand and proclaim on anything.gov that the sky's my limit, they never hesitate to trim it. That is my connection to a way to realize these dreams they claim ain't deferred. Sometimes I catch a political address, listening for any word to indicate to me that one day there'll be TV in every classroom. Enough trumpets to make a band. Neighborhoods that don't fume with toxic waste plants, genetically engineered ants who come by Lil Ray Ray and Shay Shay and get them some type of cancer that ain't covered by Medicaid, yeah. Maybe then I won't hover around the fact that anything black still has a negative connotation. And the majority of soldiers stationed overseas have Jackson and Ruiz for last names. Maybe then I won't call it a shame when the Constitution can be used to tap my cell and my phone in the basement and federal agents are mad because them phones ain't been on since daddy got laid off for Walmart. America ain't got no heart, and the blood pumping through its veins been tainted for centuries by national and international enemies whose interests always find a way to creep over the citizen. Take a squat, lay something foul, and still be found innocent. Yeah, I just love how nothing we own is owned by us, and how the in God we trust get a little bit more faint every day. How public school is like boarding school, you know, just without the funding. How my grandpa's still working at the tender age of 83, holding on to me for dear life because his social security check is about $12 and his prescription is just about 15 years, son. I heard it through the grapevine that monopolies are just fine, and the people outside of the U.S. need jobs more than we do. And you too could get the cure for AIDS and cancer if you got the dope, boo. And if you ain't know, the best way to get reelected is to take the niggas you rejected and try to speak their language on the public service message. They won't remember how you never heard one single cry and covered up every single lie with an expensive tie that you could loosen when the sin choked too much. Yup, every day my wallet gets a little fucked. Bushonomics cost more than Reaganomics because we can't tell the difference between an Arab and a Sheik. I'm too busy on the streets, stealing purses to pay for college tuition, selling dope to keep from sniffing, living dirty so I won't miss a sweet kiss from my babies because I'm off in the Navy dodging bullets not meant for me. What I haven't learned from slavery, a lesson to look around at my own shit. The poverty, the pain, 5-year-old girls aspiring to dance in videos, many gangsters trying to steal my zapatos, trying to get a history lesson on every page that's not ripped out. African-American studies program that hasn't been phased out, trying to find my mom and pop store that they closed down so some fucking corporation could keep us all down, watching destruction of everything that I love and audaciously When you clearly see my eyes are filled with tears, how America has been systematically me all these years, what's private bleeds and my womb falls free. You ask me why I don't watch politics on TV, why I haven't kept up. I look up through eyes as cloudy as a monsoon, give you the finger so you know what to do and tell you simply, I've been too busy watching my soul die to vote. Watching my baby choke on industry smoke and watching the jails fill with all my mans in them who sold you what you supplied as the penitentiary becomes an industry and all my black babies get sucked in when brown people barely make up 30% of the land and 90% of us end up with shackles about our wrists and minds again. Yeah, son, I know exactly why all the charges stick, why the Senate and House of Reps are still filled with hicks, while all the Fortune 500 companies are still run by Dixon. Right before the channel flicks, you try to tell me I don't know shit about politics. Thank you. The next one is called Black Econ. Hoovering my coins, you can tell I'm a pro. Pushing photons like physicists, I domesticate your logic with this counterintelligence, acknowledging you, debunking, destroying, bombing, playing coy in courtrooms and conferences. I spook. Press select buttons to get you running, out and gunning. Black beret, cause they coming, trying to get you to picture yourself before they frame you. Hem you up like Santa Monica, like Pratt. Hunt you like Martin when he wandered into wilderness, also known as researching economic evidence for why we have yet to claim our excellence, how the dollars don't add. Convince you that it's bad to keep resources in own community to feed poor babies free breakfast or sustain them with sustenance from ground. Grow fresh fruit in the ghetto, we Geppetto and don't even know. Starving for more than liquor stores and Starbucks, they don't give a fuck if we eat. Despite that, we spend recklessly. Come, go on a journey with me, kin. Call yourself dollar and I'll provide the skin. Let's get clear on how long you circulate here. Can't make a plan for you until you understand the brevity of your lifespan, because if you Asian, you spend on average of 28 days in Asian hands. By Asian means, this is true-ish. It would be 19 if you was Jewish, but nah, you a black dollar. So no one hears you holler. You evaporate quick, not talking days, I'm talking hours. In fact, I'm talking 6. So sis, when you are pondering riches or how best to exist, make it stack, bring it back and protect it and mind your black businesses. Thank you. And the last piece, thank you for being with me thus far. I appreciate you. This is for my people in celebration of MLK Jr. and all of our lives, all of which matter. But Black lives matter in a different way because we haven't gotten the opportunity to matter to anyone, sometimes not even ourselves. So here we be. Mutiny. Here we be. Death-defying feats, type roping in infinity, glorious to say the least. We rise in heaps, following great spirit forward on with no kin to defeat. When killed continuous need, no death could shake our feet. Our hips mud brick, we concrete, we are the leap. Pushing forward no matter the fee, paying in blood and even in dreams, we stay pressing on through hydrant and teeth. We know from whom the strength was bequeathed. If your skin stays too brown, stand up on your feet. If your lips were once considered too round, get your ass up and clap. But won't you look at that? The very thing they hated and painted on black. They run to foreign to implant in the body gaudy insinuations of black. It's the closest the vultures will ever get to that. Fight me if it ain't a fact. As a matter of tact, I'll be polite and just let you hold that. And now we're back. And the bombs are not only falling over Baghdad, but we will the light to rise over Palestine. Great God piping through our gifts, articulating in various versions of Einstein. The roots of genius are mine. telling the devil, now get thee behind. We reclaim our time and our minds, show the world the gold isn't in our minds, but the deep connections we aim to find, noting first that any crime against the rich and wine deserves collective switch, boomerang, boomerang, lash of the whip to silence pseudo masses lying lips. We are ready equipped. So rise and take back the ship. Thank you.
Yes, 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 yes. Give us some love for Ray Jane in the house. Give it up, give it up, give it up, give it up, yeah.
Thank you.
We told you we were gonna bring the heat. So there you go. But let's see. That was just the warm-up. Wow, excuse me. Listen. Next, I'm gonna bring a brother. His name is Robert Anthony Gibbons. He's been published in over 30 literary journals and several notable anthologies. Recent publication credits include Killings Review, Tribes, Involuntary Magazine, Pellegrini, Expound, Promethean, Turtle Island, Quarterly, Killer Whale, and Switzerland Valley Review. Voices of Lefferts in the Bronx Memoir Project, Volume 2, published by the Bronx Council on Arts. His first collection, Close to the Tree, published by Three Rooms Press. And his chapbook, Flight, published by Poets Wear Prada. You're Almost Homeboy, published by Harlequin Creatures, 2019. But let's just give up some love for Robert Gibbons in the house. Give it up.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Bao Phi and Ngoma. Thank you for having me. Thank you, Ray Jane. You know I love your work, girl. You brought the fire. You brought the fire. You brought the fire. Thank you so much. I'm going to read a few pieces. I do have copies of Flight. If anybody interested in it, you know, reach out to me in the chat and we can talk about it. The first piece is entitled The Self-Taught Genius, and this is for my grandfather, has an epigraph. Learning is borrowed knowledge. Genius is knowledge innate and quite our own. Birds gotta have somewhere to roost. No wonder Grandpa collected all those truck tires full of rainwaters and lizards. Pieces of a hood from an old Chevrolet, an old green awning, far to the back near his tool shed. Had not used it in years. Someone said it's dead back there, or maybe it was just a yard show of leads and pipes and broken down machines. Those dry bones of old transmissions gave him admonition to get up early every day. Birds gotta have somewhere to roost. His legs the color of papaya juice and spider skillets. His head hangs beneath the lid of the car of his mind far into his chemistry. He could take it all apart and put it back together, be it turbine or carbine or combine or mainline. It was the hum that I remember. It was the crankshank, the smell and whiff of oil beneath his fingernails. He likes it to be dirty as much as he liked to get up early. Birds gotta have somewhere to roost. His post was handyman, but you can call it a blend of chemist and artist, novice without an education, just a ration of screws and nuts and bolts and chokes. And he told me to help so I would pump the grease, it would release energy. He done it right so he would be finicky. Birds gotta have somewhere to roost. He had to band-aid those wounds from the war. The tune of the engine gave him peace until he fixed it. There was no release. It was all day and into the night. His station had a pilot light. His supper is cold. He is still there. I already know. December 2011. Do you think I've forgotten? I have not. You old hag have to be tough in this cold, walk in stilettos atop of limestone and concrete. I will consign you vintage. It can be so callous, searching for Bodega's dream. Yes, I am four skinny trees with no use of a calendar. I exist and you are so temporary. Christmas, Kwanzaa, and Hanukkah becomes a crowded church between Hallmark and Benchmark. I do not believe in resolution, just revelation, so I marked you untitled. And I still believe in the Appalachian Trail, spotted like Jackson Pollock painting. And there are small pockets of poverty in this bad economy spilling over into January. Shall I call it the resurrection, the Advent, the Lent, the death, burial, leap year, February among the bagel eating crowd? Martin Luther King is just a mental health day, so I will fight for you and for all those that cross the river. A homage to Benjamin Brawley has an epigraph from Frank Gould. We will not have his body removed from the grave, for it lies surrounded by his brave and devoted soldiers. We can imagine no holier place than that which he lies among his brave and devoted followers, nor wish him better company. What a bodyguard he has. Benjamin Brawley. For those of you who are social justice, the ones that have written from the Birmingham jail, the bombs that fall in the Church of Alabama, all the men of color behind the slammer, we know the fires in the ghetto, the fires of Soweto and Saloto. We know the fires in the ghetto won't let go, for we know the midnight train and the crucifixion of a chain gang, the criminal records, the pants hanging below dissension, the fire in the Mission District. And if I am a stop and frisk, and if I am a special education, then I am at risk, then I am a ride on the yellow bus. And I must be a behavior useless with all these labels. This is fire in manacles, but we won't let go. We won't let go on this miseducation of the Negro. Background reparation, I am catching a ride with Garvey, my state sealed in poverty. It is a Mississippi and a goddamn to the people I call fam. Have shortened it and sweetened it like iced tea before your political lynching bee. The fire is a liar in this trial of the century. Name me menace and thug and boogeyman and shug. Bury me with all my brothers, the ones the color of a do-rag and afro sheen. Mean what I say with this fire in the ghetto if the pain just won't let go. And if I seem disconnected, then the liberation has been resurrected. Want some freedom down in Florida, then the feds have to order it. Don't beat your stole me, this ain't no docility. Twain can't offend me with Faulkner because I am just as Southern. Who said you hold the dialect? Last I heard they called us Geechee. See, we are not asking for no revival. The freedom fighters found beneath the river. We are asking you to take down your flag. We still counting all those toe tags. There will be the preaching of Nat Turner, the murder of Emmett Till. We want to fill our tobacco bags way down in Waco, Texas. Tell them about Juneteenth. We're not going to succeed. This blood from the 54, not a spook by the door, but I am running with Dred Scott, name etched in the cemetery plot. Don't archive Harriet Tubman's gun until the race is won. It's the fire in the ghetto, and we won't let go. For Josephine Baker.
Yeah.
As a epigraph by Ernest Hemingway. Josephine, Frida, with your name changed to Josephine, I thought to be captivated, to sensate color, but there you are coming from the hinterlands of Missouri, the music of Langston, from the words of Hemingway. And if there's only one God, then there's only one goddess, a mother and nurturer, a birther to the rainbow tribe. Frida, our lives lead us back from the streets of poverty, from the backs of tin pans and blues drunks, monks who will find a way to create hunks of filth and shit in our way, stay on the floorboard of a cardboard box where the rotten meets the famous, the aimless midnight, the fight to be heard, to be sane, the name change, the mask of hurt, the turn of events will not always prevent justice, busting down the walls of the unfair, the charity, the ink disappears on the music sheets, the feet between the borders, to hoard just because and nod at the feeling that they did me wrong. So now I have to create the song, and long live the pain without the worldly gain. Long live the name if I can remember, if I can fashion my own way, regardless of the writing block, inspiration, the leftover of the trash can. And no matter how we say it, receptacle or spectacle, it is still trash. so the last does not have a choice, but use the voice, use the body as instrument, the wave of flesh, the best of what we have, amused to reuse over and over and never given credit. Some merit and honor cleaning out the pool of Dorothy Dandridge, the lost movies of J.P. Sand, the red dress of Abby Lincoln, the beacon of a trail, and I can hear Shirley Bassey singing Diamonds Are Forever. I can hear Ella and Sarah and Ma Rainey, the music stands of our background, Billie Holiday in the back door, the chore of living segregation. But when you come back, it's muse to fuse this voice in Tupelo pink and noir, where language has no barrier, just character, just longevity, each meter, each stanza in Banana Frida. The lights are hot. The nights are not for the timid, be it Black Pearl, Bronze Venus, or Creole Goddess Frida. We all live in costume with our modern sirens and vaudeville to feel the vacancy becomes vagrancy. Frida, there is the final vocal when no one will really know, when no one will really know. The necrosis of Setoa. What happened to Setoa, a bull elephant from Mombasa, Bahamas from the 1960s, could have been a member of the civil rights movement, but instead lynched of his body parts, his ivory, he mammal, but it could have been Medgar or Martin or Emmett Till, better yet, savagery. Seteo, left as carcass for the vultures, his body a splay of red earth and bush, his critical endangerment, or the Javan or the white rhino killed for their horns, for keratin, terrorists as looters with booty shipped to Asia, to Vietnam or China, to snort as cocaine. Soteo, a hallucinogen, a fascination with anything African, packing his parts in crates and keels, shipping terracotta red and Paleolithic antiquities as reliquary in New York harbors, as barter, as trade, a disappearance of giants. The voice mourns for the dead mastodon or mammoth, a glypodont or slot, all gone with the flight of the elephant bird, all gone with the megafauna, with extinction in the planet of the apes. No way to produce the giants, only in print. I'll do one more. I saw a freedom quilt yesterday. I saw a freedom quilt yesterday. In the past and not the present. It hangs on a museum wall. It lures me to its dimensions, sat in the back out of view. Only I see it with the enormous crowd next door in the restaurant. There to stew in its glaze, its glory, the story written by hand-stitched prints and night looms and threadbares my existence. I saw a freedom quilt yesterday, and today there's something different. Listen to the other voices like Sister Gertrude Morgan with her handmade books written in her sanctified white, the cotton feels still over my head. There are dead folk remnants. There are treasures. Beg Purvis Young to say people are celebrating, but they are waiting with Sam Doyle and all the other dry bones. I saw a freedom quilt yesterday, and why live in the past? Let the dead past bury the dead. But they wanted it in St. Helena, Hazelhurst, Mississippi, and down in Liberty City, where the mosquitoes do not discriminate, in Aunt G's Bend, Alabama, with Rocking Mary and Mr. Fool paints on old metal, try to fashion a New Jerusalem, the letter only in the word of mouth. And we hear freedom, think it will travel on the back of manumission and carriages, maroons in flight and drinking gourds and morning benches. The quilt wants to swallow, but will not wallow in this dysfunction, the cunning air of a folktale. The people work with the Nellery. The quilt is a rift of the bondage, the money launderer. The red is red, the crucifixion, the premonition of the years to bear witness. Everybody got to have some blue and sky in this reign of terror. Fear the divisible, the white eyes hide the primary color. The mother still weeps, still in fear. The soul still keeps. This quilt hides in attics, a religion in the stitch, to the rhyme, to the sign of the judgment. The quilt takes over, sold by authentic, told not to be fanatic, but the quilt has verse, that will not be rehearsed or televised. This quilt is a lie when I try to walk past, try to hold my attention. This quilt has its own mission, and I hope this quilt will fix me. Thank you so much for having me, and I have copies of Flight if you're interested. Thank you. Thank you to the Peabody, Yale Peabody Museum. Thank you to everybody, and thank you to the readers here today.
Yes, yes. Go some love for Robert Gibbons in the house. Give it up, give it up, give it up, give it up. Yeah. So we're gonna move this right along though. Next, we're gonna hear from a sister by the name of Lorraine Currelley. She's a poet, educator, human rights activist, cultural worker, mental health and grief and bereavement counselor. She's one of the founders and only president of the Harlem Arts Fund, widely anthologized in literary publications, executive director of Poets Network and Exchange Inc. and Bronx Book Fair. Lorraine has performed at cultural, educational, and social venues nationally. Her children's story, The Red Flowered Basin, was produced and aired over the National Black Network. Poets Network and Exchange Inc. is a supportive space for poets and writers at all levels, and features poetry and creative writing workshops and readings, an open mic and a scholar lecture series where scholars of various disciplines are invited to lecture and facilitate. So give us some love, please, for my friend, Lorraine Currelley.
Thank you, thank you. Giving honor to ancestor Zannette Lewis. Thank you, Yale Peabody Museum and staff, Jesse DeLea, Hannah Myers, and Ngoma for your gracious invitation, Croilot, sponsors, and everyone in attendance. To my fellow poet colleagues, it's a pleasure sharing this platform with you. First poem, As Good as New. Inspiration, the painting, El Dueño del Todo, the owner of everything, by Morris. We packed up everything we owned, precious and sacred rags. Mama's reimagined flour sacks became precious silks and linens in our longing and hopeful eyes. Battled shoes stuffed with cardboard, missing souls, but never their souls. Patched pants, shirts, dresses, skirts, and blouses, cast-offs from all the Mr. and Mrs. Whites our tortured lives knew. Cargo intended for trash cans, cold, harsh, cruel voices shouting at overworked and underpaid employees. Mabel, you want any of this stuff before it's thrown in the trash? You can fix it up as good as new. Away from the glares of Mr. and Mrs. White's eyes and ears, we curse their ignorance in favor of hard-earned coins. Coins, when added together, would lead us out of Jim Crow into freedom. No more bodies swinging from the poplar trees, rapes hidden from our menfolk. Bombed churches, miseducation, Wall Streets, Emmett Tills, and doctorate mops on office floors. Our history and herstory infused with dreams, audacious hope, and the elegant words of brilliant author Isabel Wilkinson's The Warmth of Other Suns, understanding all too well the kindred strokes of Comrade Morris bleeding passionately onto canvas. Like Morris, we bring pieces of our lives, aged pictures passed down, a dress, a pair of shoes, grandfather's sacred letter, and 102-year-old Aunt Hattie telling us to wash our panties before going to bed at night so that we would have fresh ones to wear the next day. Everyone spoke about freedom and opportunity up north. Family members said word of apartments, jobs, and education. When Freedom Day finally arrived, there was great excitement. It appeared as though the entire Black population just up and left. We did our best not to look over our shoulders, knowing we would miss the land that struggled to produce food for us, the land we prayed to and loved, the land where we rest our ancestors, the land we hoped one day our children would return to when the evils of the White Death, we suffered no longer exist. Stories followed us of all the Mrs. Whites lamenting and wondering how they were going to find colored girls, to clean their homes. And to do their work, couldn't stop talking about their entire lives, were thrown into turmoil. Mama said, you don't miss your water until the well runs dry. Seems like Black folks have always been looking for home, escaping plantations, looking for our people, children snatched from our wombs and soul. Juneteenth celebrated 2.5 years after emancipation. Greedy, brutal enslavers angered by the news, hoping to suck the last of our remaining breath from our bodies. Their kin fight for voter suppression and keeping the truth or their brutality out of schools, while our resilient descendants still fight for what remains freedom, a failed promise. Okay. Emancipating American Goddess Aunt Jemima, a prose poem, inspiration, The Quilt, Who's Afraid of Aunt Jemima, 1983 by Faith Ringel. There is no beauty in the stories of this quilt, only America's truth, a tainted truth hiding in buried stench, one that resurfaces to break a failing peace that reminds me I know my children are truly seen as human and free. How many more will have to fall for breathing in the wrong color? My breasts have suckled your babies before I was allowed to suckle my hungry and crying own. I have picked God's cotton from sun up to sundown, fingers bleeding, back broken, my spirit crying and my body aching for liberty where there was none. Wash your clothes, mop your floors, cook your food, nurse your sick, and emptied your bed pots. I have fought off and submitted to the unwanted advances of pale death. This unwelcome death that fathered my children and sold them off at greed's price. I have cared for the same babies who were given my children as birthday gifts. Children who, when grown, sold off my children, never acknowledging my suffering, pain, humanity, nor the memory of the life-giving milk of my breasts, nor the comfort of my healing arms. I have offered mother's tears to deaf ears, yet I continue to be dehumanized, marginalized, and treated as the other, and my image ridiculed by ignorance. I am the American goddess Aunt Jemima. I come from the lineage of queens, Hatshepsut, Tayi, Nefertiti, Makeda, Candace, Cleopatra, Nzinga, Yai Santiwa, Harriet Tubman, Sojourner Truth, Idella Hightower, Annie Daniels Currelley, Alma John, Fannie Lou Hamer, Adelaide Sanford, and Maxine Waters. A sacred image housing courageous women. I ask, who's really afraid of Aunt your mama? Blues. Blues enters your life when you have lived a life, not some culturally appropriated manufactured replication of those birthed and grown in pain. Blues is life sculpted and uncompromised, brewed for and from dark grown folk. Ancient men and women, life wrapped around known struggle, musically weaved with courageous hope and paid in full blood, textured layers of feeling, raw truth and heart. If I could sing, I would serenade Lady Day, making love to her pain and disappointment, celebrating her with joy, kisses, and touch. Met her as a child, Mama playing her recordings. Billy, Mama's morning ritual, heard stories of hairdressing parlors, how sweet she was, and the men and women said to love and desire her. I have loved you all of my life. I waited for myself to grow up, promised myself I would marry you. 7 years old, little girl braids, polished Mary, James, and my broken heart met the morning of your death. Still, I mourn your absence. Mama, I would have loved her. I would not have hurt her, unlike the weak blood suckers pimping her love and need. Mama's eyes met mine with understanding, tears, and sadness. Adult words now curse the motherfuckers plotting to imprison her spirit, rape her heart, and pimp her musical justice-seeking, truth-telling soul, lying bitches and bastards who envied her gifts and power, all claiming to have loved her. Maya, 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 Maya. Oh, Maya, never forgave you for your unholy self-righteousness. Nothing sisterly nor phenomenal about your judgment. She wrote songs, did drugs. You wrote poems and sold pussy. Blues is authentic, raw, and honest. Blues meets you swaggered and uncompromised truths, and I don't give a fucks. It's not kind, unkind, ugly, or lovely. It just is. Who I am and where I come from. I come from a Southern, geeky, hard-working, hard-loving, hard-living, strong woman. A woman who strutted her sassy daily to sacrifice and make ends meet. A woman who loved her children and left her dress shouting, ah, shit, when laughing and dancing. A woman who loved God and knew she was loved. A woman who weaved collard greens, cornbread, and candy yams into stomach quilts and married smothered chicken and gravy to rice. A woman who knew lonely and at times ached for companionship and passion. A sexy, sensual woman, a smart, common sense woman who ate books and taught her children to do the same. I come from a people whose midnight skin is kissed by the sun and sung about by the gods. I come from clotheslines, pens, wash tubs, homemade baked biscuits and hope, laughter, strangling pain, go to the back of the bus, ancestral ritual, cotton plantations, raped humanity, midwives, breast milk and fights. I come from butcher knife carrying women, women whose knives could rip through flesh like butter, caress bread, if coarse demand. I come from a people who rose above stolen opportunity, anti-lynching, civil and human rights fighting women. When I enter Paula Giddings, part of my soul went with him, Winnie Mandela women. I come from, oh Mary, don't you weep, and Kumbaya, come by here women. I come from, I've always been liberated all my life, cooking in Miss Ann's kitchen, cleaning her filthy ass house, taking care of her disrespectful children and breastfeeding her babies, picking crops from sun up to sundown, never getting no rest women. I come from warrior women. Hatshepsut of Egypt, Candace of Morocco, the Kaina of Maghreb, Amina of Hausaland, Helena and Sabawanga of Ethiopia, and Zinga of Angola, Dona Patrice of Congo, and Matisi of the Sotho, Rana Valona, the first of Madagascar, Jacinta of Asante, Nihanda of Zimbabwe, Harriet Tubman, Ida B. Wells, Annie Daniels Corelli, Emma John, Mrs. B. Taylor, Mrs. Beulah Gardner, Fannie Lou Hamer, Maxine Waters, Billie Holiday, strange fruit swinging from the poplar trees, women. I come from confident women who care less than a damn about anybody's approval, women who deliver justice for sisters' betrayal, even when knowing loneliness and a hungry body sometimes overruled good sense. I come from, go next door and tell Agnes I said loan me a few dollars until check day, women. I come from, by any means necessary, women. Paycheck gone, no loans. Will sell some if necessary. Ain't gonna let my children starve, women. Hey, Leroy, had your woman ran off with that woman, you know, the fine one living down the street? Leroy, maybe she would have stayed had you not beat her smile from her spirit. I come from, don't write no checks your ass can't cash. Don't start no shit, won't be none. Fuck with me and get lie thrown on your ass, women. I come from women and men whose hips in pain birthed blues, jazz, bebop, hip hop, merengue, salsa, calypso, and country, all classical music. I come from women who shared food and watched out for each other's children. I come from, who did you come to visit, me or my shit house? What your eyes looking all around for? If you don't like what you see, get the fuck out of my house, women. I come from yelling out the window, sitting on the stoop, looking through the peephole, loud talking and laughing women. Who am I and where I come from? I come from ancestor women and men whose bones still cry out for justice, buried beneath murdered earth and ocean. My last poem, Daughter of Ancient Blood, Bone, and Spirit. I carry the bones, blood, and spirits of my ancient ancestors. I was born eating their sorrow, tears, joy, strength, and courage. I am the warrior living within their hopes and dreams, the one whose tongue summons thunder, the one holding memory, the one refusing my captors death and God. I am the descendant of civilization's beginning, the truth refusing burial, I call on the wisdom of my ancestors always, and on days and nights when there is no internal rest, I tell them I am not at peace, living in two heads and two conflicting worlds. I am one of the stolen, spinning her lifetime, seeking my one true head. They listen closely and tell me, we must pray. Spirit brings me to the water where I meet with those long gone, the ones whose spirits fill the oceans and me with holy prayers of thanksgiving and the unrelenting will to go on. We offer prayers dedicated to the Holy One, speak of honor, sacred earth, wind, water, sky, the cleansing power of fire and life. This is how we love and birth generations. Daughter of ancients, you must live, they tell me. How else will future descendants know and survive? You are drum. You must hold and tell our stories. I raise my heart to sky and water, planting my oath. I come before the gods of my ancient ancestors, humbled on bended knee. My prayers are for the healing of generational trauma and terror. I pray for evils in the healing and cleansing for those born to hatred without souls and spirit, those trespassing against your universe, humankind and creation. Holy ones, holy ones, hear your daughter's prayer and grant mercy. Thank you.
Give some love for Lorraine Currelley. Yes. Come on, give it up. Yes. Thanks to all of the poets. Okay, and last but not least, we want to hear from Bao Phi. Born in Vietnam, raised in South Minnesota, Bao Phi is a two-time Minnesota Grand Slam champion and National Poetry Slam finalist, whose poetry is included in the 2006 Best American Poetry Anthology and published widely elsewhere, including 2 collections published by Coffee House Press, as well as other collections in magazines such as Spoken Word Revolution Redux, Poetry Magazine, Asian American Literary Review, and many others. So we want to give up some love for Bao Phi. He's also a father. He made sure I let people know that, okay? So give up some love for Bao Phi in the house.
Thank you so much. I really want to thank you, Ngoma, for inviting me to this space. It means a lot to me. I'm honored to be here. I also want to thank everyone who's behind the scenes, doing the paperwork, doing tech so that we all can be here together today. Thank you so much. And of course, last but not least, the wonderful poets, all who shared tonight during the open mic and also my co-features. It's an honor to be here with you. And it's so wonderful to hear your work. Thank you so much. I only got 3 poems for you tonight. But before I get into these 3 poems, I just want to give you a quick, a super speedy infographic, I guess, about how I came to be a poet in this country, just to give you some context, not only why I'm so grateful to be here with you today on this event, but also where some of these poems are going to be coming from that you're going to hear from me. So I was literally a baby when my family fled Vietnam from war. My father was a soldier, and we fled. You know, the difference between a refugee and an immigrant is that most refugees don't have a plan and they don't have resources to go to another place. They usually have to flee due to persecution or war, and that's definitely the situation with my family. And we fled. I was a baby. We fled in the mid-70s directly from the war to the Phillips neighborhood of South Minneapolis, which some of you mentioned Clyde Bellecourt, who passed recently. Incidentally, Phillips is where the American Indian movement was started by Clyde Bellecourt and others in that very same neighborhood where I was raised, where my parents still live. And I came to the art of spoken word and poetry before I knew it was called spoken word in 1991 or 1992 through high school speech team. And I bring that up because one of the people that I studied and who influenced me greatly in terms of thinking and his oratorial skills was Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. And so that it's very special for me to be here today. You know, obviously I don't have to tell you all, he's one of the greatest, if not the greatest orators of our time. So it's really special that he was part of my genesis as an artist way back when I was just a kid. And now that I'm an adult, now that I'm a father, you know, my child, George Floyd was murdered by a racist white police officer 3 blocks away from where my child went to daycare, you know? And so all of these things make me who I am and make me also very glad and grateful to be here with you today. So with that, I'm gonna quickly get into these 3 poems. This first one, it's for my mom. It's about my mom. And the thing you should know about my mom is she's a really great gardener. And this is a short poem about an incident when I was a little kid and I went with my mom to a gardening store and she got into an argument with the person who was ringing up our items. It's called Frank's Nursery and Crafts. The lines are long when my mom insists that the final amount on that register is wrong. The cashier looks at the receipt and insists that it's right. My mom purses her lips, looks worried, says, "It's not right." The line of white people behind us groans. My mom won't look back at them. We both know what they're thinking. Small women with no knowledge of the way things are in America, though year after year she makes flowers bloom in the hood, petals in the face of this land that doesn't even want her here. Finally, a manager comes, checks the receipt, and informs the cashier she rang up 22 plants instead of just 2 plants that we were trying to buy, overcharging us by $40. My mother holds my hand, leads me away without looking back at the line of white people who overhear all of this and gasp, their sympathy won. If only I was old enough to tell them to keep it, because it's not my mom's English that's broken. The second poem, so I've had a lifelong fear of insects, and there are these insects called house centipedes that have like a lot of legs and they move really quickly, and they frighten me a great deal. And a lot of people mistakenly call them silverfish, but they're not silverfish. And why I'm telling you this and why I'm reading this poem, just bear with me. We'll get there together. A large centipede was in my tub for days. It looked like a prehistoric zipper made of needles, a firecracker with too many fuses. I skipped taking a shower for way too long, an unspoken compromise, hoping it would disappear on its own, preferring to be dirty over drowning my fear. Eventually, I trapped it under a container, took it outside while it scrambled like an explosion of exclamation marks under the foggy plastic, and I let it go. These centipedes are often mistaken for silverfish when they actually make dinner out of them and other more damaging pests. I know what it's like to be mistaken for something else, to feel the first reaction when a set of eyes encounters your body is to smash you, to wonder what in history made a caterpillar a caterpillar, a ladybug, to know what it's like to be invisible until revealed to be ugly, alien thing, hairy wiggle, whose body tells the only story anyone's willing to hear. When it shook free of my trap, its head made of stepladders, its body a spasm of 100 loose threads of fate, it didn't make a sound, but I swear I could hear it scream that it wanted to travel back in time, rewrite the many veins of possibility that would shape how it would be seen here, so that the present could be a place where it could be understood for what it actually was. And my last poem, so you all probably know that during COVID, there's a huge spike in anti-Asian violence. Those of us who study history know that anti-Asian violence is nothing new. And I think not only is anti-Asian violence nothing new, but also the subsequent dismissal that these incidents were actually racist is also nothing. The idea that Asian Americans don't suffer from any type of racism or discrimination is a long-held belief, and that is also nothing new. And I wrote this poem. Because rather than try to, I think as a straight male, I'm trained to I'll just say that anger is something that I've been very familiar with in my younger years. And I think that as a cis straight male, like vengeance, violence, revenge is something, these emotions are very familiar to me. But I think when all of this went down, I wanted to do something different. I wanted to write a poem that instead of asking for revenge was actually asking us to imagine a world where this stuff doesn't happen. And so this is kind of like a science fiction alternate reality poem called Alternate Reality. Instead of a grandmother kicked in her face, 1,000 orchids blooming from each swinging foot, the stems and petals forming a fragrant face mask wrapped around every face, hers and yours. Instead of a man and his child stabbed in the face at a Costco, the knives turned to pens, sentences flowing like blood as the story of their lives filled the body of flag after flag, embracing the wind from every direction. Instead of acid poured onto a woman's face, we asked one another what our parents drank when they lost what meant the most to them. The lines on their faces, a worn map to the unbearable, so they can find it even when they die. Instead of a nurse being dragged from a train, we all throw wings. There is no net big enough, no handle long enough. Instead of a rock thrown through a store window, there are no stores. We have everything we need and nothing more. Instead of fearing for my mother and father, they are hunched over sewing machines, the stitches even as the needles dip up and down, the thread light on the margins or it all falls apart. They sew masks, you see, they save your life. And so there is no need for me to keep screaming how they saved mine. Instead of you chinks brought the virus here, there is a chorus in a language no one understood, but translated as beauty. So loud, you were shaken, and you learned the limitations of dancing, how you've always been taught to dance. Instead of you people need to stop eating bats and rats, American history books fell off of shelves and burst into flames, and we cooked our dinners for one another, burnt in some places and raw in the other. In the dark, our families' backs are hunched with all they can carry, dodging the spotlight eyes of soldiers, the barks of their guns off leash. They always escape the men with guns. We never forget. Instead of deportation, our bodies become boats. The ocean is impossible to border. The flags sink to a place where there is no light, to see the sigils. We are all water, so we be like water. Here, mothers don't need dead sons or daughters before we listen to them. Here, the doctors and nurses don't need to stand in front of tanks as if they were tanks. We don't need to celebrate a day that a child isn't shot at school, because that is every day. The drones drop only bread. The combat boots float meaninglessly over the necks of our fathers. The bigots are too busy with therapy to pay us any mind. The police bullets all miss. The hottest flame is in your kitchen. Lovers are never the chameleon colors of bruises. You could lean down close to the face of the dying person whom you love. Say goodbye to their very last breath. It's not science, but rather science fiction, that the landmines are not landmines, but seeds. And like flowers bursting from the soil after the winter, you are an explosion in bloom. And our elders look at their grandchildren the way a person looks at the rainbow after a tornado has taken their home, bit by bit, away into the very same sky. Thank you.
Wow. I'm speechless. Thank you very, very, very much. Thanks to everyone. I'm glad you all could be here. Thanks to our audience who has been the recipient of all of this. Thanks to Yale. Thanks to someplace else. Hold on a minute.
Thanks to
Connecticut Department of Energy and Environmental Production, and for the New Haven Museum for co-hosting this event.
For sure.
Thank you all. Thanks to all of the artists for the open mic, and thanks to all of the artists that actually featured. We really appreciate you being able to be a part of this experience, and we give you love. Love to everybody.
It was an amazing evening with the features, with the open mic poets. It was definitely amazing. Again, as Ngoma said, you can follow Peabody on social media, and also visit the Peabody MLK event on their website, with all the different things that are happening today, yesterday, and tomorrow as well. So we definitely want to say thank you to everyone that stayed with us and came with us to actually be entertained by all the different things, not just entertained, but really an education, right? It's where you're getting a little bit of entertainment, but really we're empowering education in the system. We also want to thank everyone in the background that's making things happen for us, Hannah, Jess, and everyone else that you may not see here, that's actually putting in the work to make this actually work for us. Ngoma, you want to say anything?
I think that's about it.
No doubt, no doubt.
Yeah, y'all stay safe out here with this virus thing going on. It's really crazy. So
yeah, it jumped from COVID to Delta to Omicron. Now I'm just waiting for Megatron right now to show up. You know, once Megatron is out here, I'm out of here. I'm taking the next flight to Pluto.
I hear you, man.
For real. But definitely, everyone, thank you for coming by and checking us out, and stay safe.
Stay safe. Peace out.
Peace. Love and happiness.